guys, welcome to another production from OBS Studios. I am the Ecron writer, in case you're wondering why I actually played this long intro. This is actually my first ever crossover with F-Zero GX in Yu-Gi-Oh!, known as Falcon's Followers. So, this story is actually based off of not just Yu-Gi-Oh! But also F-Zero GX, and it centers around Captain Falcon, as well as my OC Tinsel Steelist, along with her duelist buddies. So, let's get this over with, shall we? Alright, Falcon's Followers. No, F-Zero GX or Yugioh Duel Monsters. They first belonged to Nintendo, with Sega, and AV, while the latter is owned by Konami. Just happened to be a fan of both. I wasn't sure about this fic, and I thought of this since I was struggling on GX's story mode. But here it is. My crossover with GX and Yu-Gi-Oh! This would be mostly centered on Falcon and my OC Tinsel Steelist, as well as the duelists Yugi and Joey. Kind of got this idea from Butterscotch since she's going back to the original series. Without further ado, it's time to drive! Terrible joke, I know. But before I get started, I want to show a little something from F-Zero GX. Just give me a minute, guys. Alright, let's do this.
All you get to win this F-Zero Grand Prix, or you know the price of failure.
Yes, I can win it this time. I swear.
Prepare to play the game. There's the only price of fame.
Believe it or not, this was actually the first time I saw this mysterious driver, as well as Black Shadow. I never played X, so this was definitely a first for me. Alright, let's get this started. Lap 1. Tinsel Steelist has kept hearing about the upcoming Grand Prix while still on hiatus, revering her fears. She'd been this way for the past 13 years and had decided to tune upcoming attractions out, yet somehow the thrill of them turned her on. She eventually went back to her garage where it all ended. The Silver Comet was just collecting dust, yet it was intact from the accident she endured all these years prior. It was back in the first championship race, and she just won second place, thanks to being outranked by the elitist Captain Falcon. She still qualified in the Night League and advanced to the Queen League, which is based off of the original F-Zero. She was able to conquer the courses until she reached the final challenge, the second track in Whiteland. Deep within the planet, Alcatraz was known for first-degree criminals to wind up in a permanent cold sleep. In other words, death, which was exactly what laid ahead of her. Final circuit began, and she was already struggling on the sharp curves and slipping on the ice. Tinsel was nearing a gap that was 50 feet in length and lagging behind. She was quite surprised all her opponents made it, including Falcon, Dr. Stewart, Pico, and Samurai Goro. In hopes to cross it, Tinsel made the left turn and went for it, only to fall short by a mere 30 feet. She'll never forget the crash that cost her life and the hypothermia she later developed. She felt she was literally meeting death himself. Fortunately, a medical team rescued her, She was then hospitalized for an excruciating fortnight. Since that time, she had scars for life. She was so traumatized that she never wanted to race ever again, not even advance to the King League, the final deadly stretch in the Grand Prix. Since then, she never used her poor Comet and abandoned it inside a nearby garage in Mute City. Dr. Theodore Clash made the repairs and wanted to encourage her to keep going, but it never helped. Now Tinsel switched to another interest, Duel Monsters. It was a card game using some of the most lethal creatures known to mankind. This dated 5,000 years back in Egypt, where a pharaoh known as Yami became a master of the dark arts. Since then, it evolved into a casual hobby introduced by her two closest friends, Yugi Moto and Joey Wheeler. Tinsel grew fascinated with the distraction, but eventually her love for the races gradually came back to her. Sure, there were some pangs of fear and hurt, but seeing the silver comet in all its luster brought a sense of nostalgia. She decided to give it a test drive through the mega metropolis. She couldn't wait to show it to them. Tinsel then met the two young boys along with another male and female in tow. They were actually escaping an island that was rumored to explode, thanks to a corrupt dueler named Seto Kaiba. Ugh, I hate that guy. Somehow Tinsel emerged into Battle City and ran into the panicking group. Get in! Quick! She shouted for them to climb aboard. Thanks to the comet's immense speed, they were able to evacuate in a matter of seconds. She met Tristan and Taya, though they volunteered to be dropped off at Domino City instead of hitching a ride to the mega capital. Since then, Yugi and Joey tagged along, and thus they began their journey into the unknown and the most evil. The sights were breathtaking, especially at night, yet the duo was disappointed since there weren't any people interested in duel monsters. Later on, the gang went through a warp gate and Tinsel entered a place which gave her the most comfort, Port Town. This was similar to Mute City, only it was more tranquil and less complicated to navigate. It was the location for one of the courses featured in the sophomore round, and it became a sanctuary for her. Lucky for them that a punk was waiting in a dark alley, challenging them to a game. Ecstatic, both Yugi and Joey drew arms while Tinsel watched. Little did the group know that there was a massive fortress transforming before their very eyes. Which is, of course, the setting for this. Alright. Very epic cutscene there. It was a wide curvy course littered with a rainbow pit area and a bunch of capsules. Neon hot pink guardrails gave it a dazzling outline. Only Tinsel observed the spectacle while her friends were busy with the street rat. She almost instantly recalled the cerulean machine racing across the track and collecting the capsules. Jeez Louise! Is that the Blue Falcon? He lives in Port Town? Boy, aren't we in for a treat. Unfortunately, she didn't want to disturb the duel, so she let them emerge victorious. As soon as the battle ended, after the hover car made 3 effortless laps, it was over. Craft returned inside the stadium, and the simulation reverted back to the dull structure it once was. The result had no rewards, just a big impression on Yugi and Joey's skills and teamwork. Although, they didn't really see this coming. Black Shadow always causing trouble. Of course, Tinsel and the duelists didn't see it. Hey, Tinsel! Yoo-hoo! Formula Zero pilot! Sorry. What happened here? Who won? You weren't paying attention, were you? I was just looking at that F-Zero track Capt Falcon raced on. He was amazing! He couldn't get the moments out of her mind. It was so surreal. What track? All I see is this gray, ugly building. You must be seeing things. But I saw... Who was he trying to convince? She didn't pay attention to the fight and they didn't look at the racetrack. Tinsel continued to argue with the hothead, but with no luck. Yugi, however, was curious in what she observed. They later discussed it at a hotel room, and she couldn't even sleep that night. She wondered where the bounty hunter's next location was going to be. When I was doing the first chapter, I used to think it was almost impossible. I was only able to complete it successfully on normal difficulty, and I later had this idea. At that time, I managed to find an old cassette tape featuring the Cars album Heartbeat City. Intro song was Hello Again, perfect song for the duel. Released those fragments I had so long ago. It was just Yugi and Joey against another duelist while Falcon trains at his turf. And one scenario's down, so stay tuned for the second one as Tinsel follows Falcon to lethal territory. Alright guys, that's it. This is the Ecron Riders signing off. Stay tuned for the next lap.